Paraplegics, I have a question for you. What do you do to stay independent? I'm going to share with you what I do to help you out. Coming up.
Hey, WheelTips Joe.
Don't be surprised if you get tipped. Surprised if you get tipped. And don't be surprised if you get tipped by WheelTips Joe.
In this video, I have 3 free new secret tips for paraplegics that you can do now to help you stay independent. These 3 secret tips are some of the healthiest things you can do for yourself and make you feel brand new all at the same time. If you are a newly injured paraplegic or have been a wheelchair user for years or have any type of disability, then this value-added video full of tips is for you. Physical therapists can glean something from it. Caregivers can get something from it. CNAs, doctors, nurses, and other physical rehabilitation healthcare professionals can glean something from these tips too. If you are a paraplegic like me, then we have some things in common. I'm a T4 paraplegic incomplete, and I use a wheelchair for mobility too. I was in a car crash 43 years ago, and I live on my own. And after 43 years of being in a wheelchair, I have secondary and tertiary health conditions too. Let me take a moment and validate myself as a subject matter expert and why I can give you some value on this topic. I contributed to the success of the Paralympics. I started out young and broke 7 records in weightlifting. I always go for the gold. Several times on the medal podium, I watched our flag being raised while listening to our national anthem in other countries. Muhammad Ali is my idol. We were inducted into the Apex Museum Hall of Achievement together. Weightlifting was my occupation. I broke records to rock the nation. I trained on my bad days to win, and I trained on my good days to break somebody else's record. I went to college, and I was an ambassador for my university. The best way I know how to say thank you to people who have helped me along the way throughout my career and wheelchair life as a paraplegic is to pass it on. I help others reach their potential too. I have success in everything I do. I'm a 2-time Paralympic athlete in weightlifting, a 12-time member of the USA International Disabled Sports Team. I used to be a certified fitness trainer, and I coached Pernell Cooper, who won the gold in Sydney, Australia in the Paralympics in 2000. I still play sports myself. I know my tips, and I'm happy to share them with you for free. For those of you who are new to our channel, I'm WheelTips Joe. I give wheelchair tips to wheelchair users and travelers from around the world. Our channel is about the wheelchair culture. We embrace the wheelchair lifestyle. We offer tips and tutorials on activities for paraplegics and people with disabilities. And this is WheelTips Wednesdays, where we give wheel tips every Wednesday at 12 noon. So please share with your friends and let them know about WheelTips Wednesdays. So here's the thing. If you do these 3 secret tips now in your life, you'll be able to stay independent, and you'll be able to do more for yourself and depend on others less in the future. That's what this video is all about. The content is designed to help you stay independent and help you impact the quality of your own life now. And the benefits to you and the value from it will help you stay independent too. Now, being independent isn't new to you, is it? Unless you're still trying to learn how to become independent like I did when I first got hurt. I created this video for you because of my own circumstances. I woke up one morning and I had to remind myself to don't lose my independence, as I'm a paraplegic and a wheelchair user. It's important to stay independent, I said to myself. I was sleepy and not ready to get out of the bed and into my wheelchair, but I had to get up to run a very important errand. For 2 days, I had gone boating and swimming at the beach, so the sun had wiped me out. But I got up and out of the house, and while I was driving my car, it dawned on me how important my mobility and independence are to me. That's why I created this video for you. I'm here to share with you that there's nothing like being independent. When you use a wheelchair for mobility, you got to be strong-minded from day one. These 3 secret tips that I'm about to share with you now, I do myself on a daily basis as much as I can. Let's see how these 3 secret tips can help you out. Paraplegic free secret tip number 1. Do range of motion exercises for your legs and push-ups in bed for strength and flexibility. To me, it's like a form of stretching. I start by doing each leg for 10 repetitions. That's 10 times per movement. I attempt to touch my forehead on my knee 10 times, and I gradually can. Then I grab my foot and rotate it clockwise and counterclockwise 5 to 10 times. Next, I extend my leg without holding my foot 10 times. Then I extend my leg holding my foot 10 times. Then I go into stretching as I get into the push-up position, and I do 50 push-ups. And after a few days of doing 50 push-ups, 50 turns into 60. 60 turns into 70. 70 turns into 80. And the goal is to do 100 push-ups non-stop. I've been doing range of motion exercises and push-ups ever since I became paralyzed to keep me loose and to reduce my spasms. When I first range my legs in the morning, I feel the spasms go straight through my body. But as I continue to stretch, the spasms go away and I'm less spastic for the rest of the day. Check out my full video on range of motion and exercises and push-ups in bed. What about you? What do you think about doing range of motion exercises and push-ups in bed on a daily basis? It only takes 5 or 10 minutes and it'll help you stay independent. Next, paraplegic secret tip number 2. Do the 6 basic activities of daily living for yourself. Let me tell you a quick story about getting dressed. When I was in the rehabilitation hospital, when I first got hurt, my nurse used to come and dress me every day. I couldn't even put my own clothes on. And then one day, she came to my room and she told me that if I didn't start dressing myself and doing things for myself, that when I get home, my lady was gonna leave me. I told her that my woman can leave me for anything in the world, but not because she's tired of doing things for me. That day, I put my clothes on by myself. It took me 45 minutes, and I was sweating, dropping bullets. And I was hurting when I was putting on my shoes, but I put my clothes on by myself. Can you imagine how I felt when my nurse told me that? The look on her face, she looked me dead in the eyes and shook me into reality. Her telling me that my woman would leave me still pushes me to this day. That's why I dress myself, and that's why I do everything that I can for myself so I can stay independent. Because I don't want my woman leaving me because she's tired of doing things for me. I want her to do things for me because she loves me. Not because I can't do it for myself, but because she loves me. It's crazy. I have lots more stories to share. Please see my other videos for more detailed content. Here's my wheel tip message for secret tip number 2. Learn yourself and be realistic about what you can and cannot do when it comes to your abilities and limitations so that you can adapt to them and become more independent than you are. If you cannot do 1 or 2 or more of these 6 basic activities of daily living, then you may notice a decline in your quality of life, and you may need a personal care assistant or some other short-term or long-term care. The thing is to do an assessment of your needs, because you can still be independent with assistance. Engage me. Is this video making sense so far? If it is, in the comments section below, write wheel tips right now. And if you're really feeling me, write WheelTips Joe. Thanks. Paraplegic free secret tip number 3, stay active. While mobility is a very important activity of daily living, it's equally important to stay active as possible. You might want to go back to work or get a job, go back to school, and there's always therapeutic recreation activities like wheelchair tennis, weightlifting, wheelchair basketball, track and field, quad rugby, boating, camping, going fishing. There's so many things you can do. Even advocacy. According to me, advocacy is a therapeutic recreation activity. You can do advocacy for disability inclusion. If advocacy involves pushing your wheelchair for mobility, then it's considered therapeutic. And if you're having fun at it, then you can slide it under the category of a recreational activity. Whatever you would like to do, just stay active. For me, I first gravitated toward weightlifting. Let me tell you a quick story about how I got started into weightlifting. When I was in the hospital, I'm talking about the hospital, not rehab. About 3 days, 2 or 3 days after I left intensive care, I was in my hospital bedroom. A physical therapist came to my room with a 3-pound dumbbell. 3 pounds. And she told me to lift it. When I finished lifting that 3-pound dumbbell, every muscle that I could feel was hurting in my body. Can you imagine that? That 3-pound dumbbell felt like it was the heaviest weight in the world. I had just had a car crash. The car flipped over about 7 or 8 times. That 3 pounds hurt. I never knew how heavy a little 3-pound dumbbell could feel, and it felt heavy. Later on, when I did go to rehab, I began lifting weights as a form of physical therapy because my physical therapist told me that I would have to depend on my arms to get my body around. I had to be strong enough to push my wheelchair, to transfer from my chair to the sofa, from my chair to the bed, from my chair to the floor. So I began lifting weights, and the doctors and the nurses noticed that my little body could push a lot of weight. So it became a pipe dream of mine to see where I stacked up against the United States competition and then against the world competition. Who would have thought that a little 3-pound dumbbell would eventually turn into a sport for me, the sport of weightlifting. And who would have thought that from my painful beginnings of lifting a 3-pound dumbbell would turn into a 385-pound bench press, which is one of my United States records. The success I had in weightlifting and other sports gave me the confidence to get back into the mainstream of my life. I'm sharing this story with you in the hopes of helping you out. To get to know more about me, stay tuned for my upcoming videos. Here's my WheelTips message for free secret tip number 3. There are 2 main important benefits that you get from staying active and participating in therapeutic recreational sports. First, staying active can give you motivation. Sports will give you self-motivation to do more for yourself and naturally give you more motivation to do more with your life. Not only that, you'll get the motivation to get back into your normal activities that you were doing before your injury or your life-changing event. This success can give you the motivation to get and hold down a full-time job, go back to school, or do whatever it is that you would like to do. The second benefit of staying active and participating in sports is that sports activities can keep you healthy. You might think that you're just having fun, traveling around with your friends, playing sports, but in reality, you're doing something healthy for your body. You're actually preventing secondary and tertiary conditions from creeping up into your life, like bed sores, diabetes, weight gain, stroke, heart disease, and other poor health habits. The take-home message is, do range of motion exercises and push-ups in bed, do the 6 basic activities of daily living for yourself, and stay active. These 3 tips that you can do now can help you stay independent and can help you enjoy your best quality of life. The question is, are you going to use these tips? If you've gotten any value from these tips today, please subscribe to our channel. And I also welcome any comments that you may have, and particularly suggestions on topics on videos that you would like to see us do for you. You can get more content from me every Wednesday on WheelTips Wednesdays. Please follow me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram too. And don't be surprised if you get tipped by WheelTips Joe.